Okay, now we're going to do the first of the big reading passages, section 4, and it's going to be numbers 13 to 24. And this is a dual passage, so you're going to see as I go through, I'm going to skip some just to come back to them. So for instance, 13. Which statement about the Fermi paradox is supported by both passages? I'm going to skip this now. I'm going to come back from it because it's a general question. I'm going to do the specific ones first. 14. Which statement best describes a significant difference between the two passages? Again, a general question. I'm going to come back and do it at the end. 15. The author of passage 1 mentions monsters, humanoids, and creatures, lines 2 to 4, primarily 2. Okay, line reference question, a primarily 2 question. Why does the author mention monsters, humanoids, and creatures? And it's B, because in the first part of the passage, they're talking about how science fiction writers have talked about extraterrestrial creatures in a particular way. However, science would say that the extraterrestrial creatures we could find would look different. So B, which is contrast fictional notions to the scientific perspective, kind of captures that idea. 16. In line 17, ran most nearly means, so this is a vocab and context question. So we would go back to the passage, cross out the word ran in line 17, and see which one works, and put in our own word, kind of like a sentence completion. So, let's see. The most succinct support, from my view, comes from Nobel laureate physicist Enrico Fermi, the man who ran the first nuclear reaction ever controlled by human beings. So instead of ran, I would probably put in a word like led or directed, right? Now we go to the choices. Fled, no. Fled and led, no. Accumulated and led, no. Traversed and led, no. Managed and led, yep. Incurred and led, no. So the answer here is D. 17. Passage 1 suggests that the Fermi paradox depends most directly on which assumption? So in this part of the passage, they're talking about, okay, if aliens exist, how come they haven't come visit us yet? You would think that they'd be colonizing and exploring the universe, even if they were just, 1,000 years ahead of us technologically. Now, the assumption here, the unspoken belief that underlies this Fermi paradox is C, that extraterrestrial technology would develop at roughly the same rate as human technology, right? That's got to be the assumption here, because if that assumption isn't true, then we could have aliens that live somewhere in the universe, except that they just haven't developed technology at the same rate as us. That would be the reason why they haven't found us. So that's one of the assumptions. And that's the one that works the best out of all the 5 choices. 18. The claim made... Okay, this is a dual passage, so I'm going to come back to this one after we've done all of the specific questions. 19. The author of passage 1 mentions Isaac Newton, lines 37 to 40, in order to, A, this was the part where they said if Isaac Newton were alive today, he'd be shocked at, what did it say? He'd be shocked at the global communication system that we've got. So that would, in some sense, he'd be surprised by the rapid rate of technological innovation. 20. In lines 44 to 48, the author of passage 2 indicates that the Fermi paradox has been, so if you go back to 44 to 48, it says that although posed in most casual circumstances, the Fermi paradox has reverberated through the decades and has at times threatened to destroy blah 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 blah. So even though it was posed in a casual circumstance, it has had profound effects. Therefore, the best choice here will be B, surprisingly influential. It was surprising because it was posed in such casual circumstances, and it's influential for all the reasons listed in that first paragraph. 21. How would Frank Drake, line 56, passage 2, most likely respond to the statement by the author of passage 1 about humans colonizing other systems? Well, in line 56, Drake mentions that colonizing is probably not possible because he says high-speed interstellar travel is so demanding of resources and so hazardous that intelligent civilizations don't attempt it. So the kind of assumption here about us colonizing other civilization would be that it's something that would be very, very difficult to do, and something, frankly, that may be beyond our reach. Choice A. The means to accomplish such a project may be beyond our reach. That would be Frank Drake's assumption, or response to the statement of passage 1 about humans colonizing other systems. 22. In line 57, claims most nearly mean. So this is a vocab and context question. Again, we go back and replace the word in the passage. So, going back to line 57, if one discounts the UFO claims, yet still believes that there may technological civilizations, why have not visited us? Well, claims here is something like beliefs or ideas. So that's what we need when we go to the choices. Demands? Nope. Assertions and beliefs? Yep. Rights and beliefs? No. Territories? No. Compensations? No. So the best choice here is B. 23. In line 63, radio communication is cited as well, if we go back to line 63, it says, and why should they attempt it, aka exploring civilizations, colonizing civilizations, and why should they attempt it when radio communication can supply all the information they might want? So the radio is seen here as an alternative to colonization, towards actually traveling to planets. Therefore, D, it's a practical alternative, because it's something that, okay, why do this complex and expensive thing when you've got an easier alternative sitting by that could get you the same information? So the answer there is D. 24. Both the author of Passage 1 and Ben Zuckerman imply that researchers seeking life on another planet should focus on which of the following. So, Passage 1 talks about how, remember, life is not just going to be complex, right? It's not going to be those things we see in science fiction. It'll probably, if we found something as simple as bacteria, we would be amazed. So Passage 1 mentions that we're probably going to look for simple life forms. Passage 2, on the other hand, at the end, when they're talking about Ben Zuckerman, he says something like, but what if you have interest in simpler life forms? So again, simpler life forms. That was line 77 to 78. Right? Again, talking about bacteria, simple life forms. That's why here, B, we should be more interested in evidence of the most basic forms of life rather than kind of complex, crazy life forms. Alright, let's go back now to the ones we skipped, starting with 13. Which statement about the Fermi paradox is supported by both passages? Well, it would probably be A. It articulates a crucial question for those interested in the existence of extraterrestrials, right? The question was, the Fermi paradox was a question, essentially, and the question was, where are they? Which is a question that scientists have to deal with and discuss and debate, and that's what these passages essentially are about. So that's why A is going to work. 14. Which statement best describes a significant difference between the two passages? The answer here is B. B presents the argument, right? One presents the Fermi paradox. Presented. Right? And 2 talks about kind of the ideas about it. So, okay, here it was presented, now here are the ideas about it from current scientists. Okay, so B here is going to be our answer because it fits best with the choices. Last one was 18. The claim made in Passage 1 that a consensus exists, lines 8 to 11, would most likely be interpreted by the author of Passage 2 as E, an oversimplification of a complex debate. We can see in Passage 2 we've got two different scientists who have different ideas on this theory, and clearly scientists, there's not going to be a simple consensus about life in the universe. In fact, there'll be a lot of different viewpoints about how we'll find it, when we'll find it, if we'll find it, or even if it exists. So therefore the answer here is going to be E.